let's talk about it now, shall we? FM25. So we've had this January deadline that was in place. They've not tweeted or posted or mentioned anything. Nothing has been announced. However, pre-purchases are still open for a March release. The Steam page still says it's going to release in March. At this stage, we don't know very much. However, what we do know is that they have set a deadline for themselves. They've missed that deadline. I think everything that people are saying, take it with a pinch of salt, and think about what their angle is for what they are saying, with a lot of it as well. Like, why would people be scaremongering? Think about what that would get them. Will it get them attention and clicks? Because a lot of the time that can be the case. However, all of that said, it's really a bit baffling, isn't it? Either way, my opinion on it is it's a bit rubbish and it feels a bit crappy to have not had any type of news, or even in the absence of news, not to have had any type of communication, because it feels like it's not the best look to have let this speculation and this whole conversation be out there in the way that it is. That's how I feel. Like, it's disappointing and it is worrying. It will lead you to worry about things like the game not being ready and the game not coming out at all. However, I must consistently keep saying this. It does not mean that there is no game. It doesn't mean all of the things that you are worrying about happening yet. It might, like, it literally might get to, it might be cancelled, it might be delayed. But at this stage now, which is sort of my point, I'm not worrying about that because it might not be true. Like, if we look at the facts about things right now, it still says it's going to be released in March. They're still taking pre-sales, pre-orders. So that there's more evidence to suggest it's coming out in March than there is that it's being delayed. The only thing they've missed is their deadline to release gameplay. Now, I think that suggests that there's some type of hitch. Something has happened that is delayed that, you'd imagine, right? It wouldn't be that they forgot. That hitch could be super big, and it could be that the game's not ready and it's not going to come out in March. Or it could just be that there's a legal issue, a license, something like that, that's just delayed the gameplay reveal. It could be that the game isn't quite where they wanted it to be when they wanted to release gameplay, because they're then worried if they release gameplay and start hyping again to then ultimately have to delay again, it's an even worse look. So what they're probably thinking, this is speculation on my part, what they're probably thinking is they want to get the game to a certain point where they're very confident that they can bring it out in March and then start to reveal gameplay things. If Sports Interactive wanted to be able to show the game right now, they 1,000,000% could show the game right now. There is something else that is stopping it, if that makes sense. Just because they've not released footage doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So bear that in mind as well. There was a public test event. There will be people who have been to go and play the game who will be proof knowing that the game is available to be shown. Right? If you're willing to show it to people, then there must be willing. You can then, especially if you think about how you can actually do a gameplay reveal, the amount that you can cut out and the amount that you can edit it, the amount that you could show. Think about other games when they do gameplay reveals and most of it isn't actual gameplay. I believe, again, speculation, there is a gameplay reveal ready to go. It's really nicely edited. The way that they do their social media teasers and things, there'll be decent production on it. It will look lovely, and it'll be with the intention to see people watch it and go, wow, this looks really good. That will be ready to go. It'll be recorded, it's done. However, there is something that is stopping them. Either it's from the execs at the very top, etc., etc., or there's a license thing involved that's stopping it, or there's a hitch where they don't think the game's going to be ready, so they're not revealing the gameplay footage because they don't want to lead people on to then ultimately let them down again, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure, I know the people who do the socials, that, like, it's not arrogance or ignorance on their part, I can assure you, because they are good people. There will be a reason, and I don't know who or why that reason has come, because nobody does right now. There's a reason that things aren't being shared. So there's some type of snag somewhere, isn't there? Also, people who run the socials don't make the final call on what does and doesn't get shared. Absolutely not, no. So if you're thinking, like, why don't they just say, oh, gameplay reveal coming soon, or hi guys, we're waiting with you, they can't, they would have been not allowed to. I feel like I need to, before we actually get into that, I feel like I need to sort of say, I don't know anything, and my view on it is, I'd rather not moan and complain and bitch and get upset about things without knowing what the facts are. And I don't feel like that is an outrageous point of view. I don't like the way that things look right now, but also speculating and discussing what the reasons might be by trying to look at it from their point of view does not mean that I agree with what's happening. I feel like that needs to be clarified and clarified again, because people have their feelings and are deciding to look at things that people are saying and take it in a way that exactly matches up with how they feel, which isn't the way that the world works. You're supposed to apply reasoning, and you're supposed to apply logic to things. So please bear that in mind with these things. Do I think that the silence looks a bit crappy and annoying? Yeah. Do I think that there's probably a reason behind it? Yeah. Is that reason? Do we know that reason? No. So yeah, you pick an extreme and the internet demands it. There is also that as well. Yeah. I do think there's an element where the chronically online segment of the FM player base, us, is like 1% of the overall FM player base, and right now 99%. So I said this, Tobes, and people really argued with me on Twitter, and I just I checked out at that point, because I'm really, really not in, I know I'm doing a stream about it now, but I'm really not I'm in such a good headspace with my life right now, and I really don't want to get bogged down in worries and things about hypotheticals that might or might not actually be true. Like, if they announce that the game is delayed or cancelled, I'll deal with that in the way that we'll make a plan about my career and things. But there is literally nothing positive from coming and worrying about that right now when it might not happen. So anyway, aside from that, I don't want to get bogged down into arguments with people who clearly have their agendas and are going to go with it when I'm not going out to argue. I'm not feeling strongly about it. So when I said things like, they will also know that the people who are all outraged about this is a lot of people, but it is still a tiny, tiny percentage of the entire player base. I really don't think that 1%, it might not, whatever percent it is, that tiny percentage is able to grasp just how small a drip in the pond, the lake that is the entire FM player base these days. If you tally up the console players, the mobile players, the PC players, etc., etc., I think it was 15 million people playing this game. A high majority of those people won't know that they've missed a deadline that was one line in a press release that said they would show gameplay at the end of January. They'll know probably that the game's delayed because they'll look and go, oh, it's not out. They will not care about this particular outrage that's happening right now at all. And people argued me and go, what, you don't think they know the game's delayed? I didn't say that for a start. But also there will be people who play Football Manager regularly who don't know that the game is delayed. Or they know that the game is delayed and they don't care because they have a life that they're living. So please also, you have to think about this when you think about it from Sports Interactive's point of view. They're not doing it just to spite you, who is chronically online and loves Football Manager like me. Like, I don't think that's not what's happening. There is clearly something else at play here, isn't there? And we don't know what it is. Yeah, you see the other side of it as well, going, why do people care at all? I was like, I get why people care, but also we're caring about something that we don't know at the moment, do we? I'm still loving playing FM24. It's a positive. Just hope they work on clear, concise communication going forward. I honestly feel like that's exactly what they tried to do, and they've just blundered it massively. Like, they come out and talk about things like transparency, and it was clearly on the agenda to something that they wanted to do. And then with all of the issues with the game and the development of the game has made it the opposite. And I think they will be absolutely gutted about that. Because clearly it was something they wanted to do, and they've made it worse. I think a part of it is that I know 90% that they would have brought in outside agencies to try and manage the situation. This isn't talking about Sega, by the way. I think they would have brought in a PR company to help them to manage the public perception of the brand after that delay, because they pushed it back once and they pushed it back twice. I don't think what they are doing is very good PR right now, but I do feel like it's deliberate PR right now. Maybe there's a world where this is all the biggest and best marketing campaign ever. Get everyone really, really angry. Drop a gameplay footage that is really good and everyone goes, you've done it again, type of thing. I don't think that's the case, but imagine it could be.